Hello, and thank you for joining us today. I am Paola Hernandez Jayo from the San Diego Union-Tribune. Welcome to Together San Diego. Our guest today is Kelly Douglas, President and CEO at Voices for Children, a nonprofit organization that serves children in foster care. She will be speaking to us today about the services they provide, the challenges facing foster care children, and also the challenges that they are facing during the pandemic and a CASA program that they have for advocates. Welcome, Kelly. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me today, Paola.
Tell us about the organization, Voices for Children, how it was founded, and also what it does here in San Diego, and also you've expanded into other counties as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So for 41 years, we at Voices for Children have been serving San Diego's abused and neglected children in the foster care system. And our organization started by a volunteer and a social worker who noticed the need for judges to have more information about the specific needs of the kids who were in the dependency cases in their courtrooms. And so they found a model that had just been created up in Seattle called the Court-Appointed Special Advocate Model. And we adopted that model back in 1980 here in San Diego County. We were one of the first CASA programs in the nation. And what we do is we match a child or a sibling group after they've entered the foster care system with a specially trained volunteer known as a court-appointed special advocate, a CASA. And the role of that CASA is to advocate for the child for the duration of their time in the foster care system to ensure their needs are met. First and foremost, our CASAs provide crucial information to judges through written court reports and appearing at hearings before the juvenile court to share their needs. But our CASAs also advocate for their kids in school settings and healthcare settings and elsewhere. But what's really special about our CASAs is for many kids in foster care, their CASA is the most consistent presence in their life. And so our work is really founded on well-established research that shows that for kids who have experienced trauma, one of the most important indicators of their ability to overcome that trauma is having a consistent and stable adult in their life. And for many kids in foster care, that person is their CASA.
That is a wonderful program that you have. Thank you for explaining what CASA stands for. Why do children in foster care need to have an advocate? And also, let's talk about the challenges that children are facing during the COVID-19 pandemic, which has also been challenging.
Sure, absolutely. So when kids enter the foster care system, they enter a pretty scary period of time in their lives where there is a lot of change and people coming in and out of the picture for them. So they enter a system with many capable and caring professionals, but they all have very big caseloads. So a juvenile court judge who handles dependency cases may have a caseload of 500 or more children. The attorneys who represent children in foster care may have caseloads of more than 100 per attorney. And a social worker may have a caseload of 25 or more families that they are supporting. And so our CASAs, when they are matched with a child or a sibling group, they are matched with only one child or one sibling group. And so they have the ability to give that child or sibling group the individualized attention that they need. And the reason why the advocacy is so important is because kids in the foster care system have so many needs. And to have a volunteer like a CASA be able to spend time with the child and with the professionals in the child's life to determine those needs allows that information then to be shared with the judge, with social workers and others to be able to make that happen. So for example, there may be decisions about placements, where the child's going to live, where they might go to school, what some of their healthcare needs are. When a CASA is able to provide that individualized attention and learn what those needs are, then the CASA is in a better position to advocate for the child. So stepping back a little bit, we will in a given year provide advocacy to about 2,000 children through about 1,000 CASA volunteers and then a special staff advocacy program. About 65% of the children that we serve are age 10 or younger. So you can see how important it is for them to have somebody who can help advocate on their behalf and share their voice. But even for the older youth who are in the foster care system, even going up to age 21, to know that they have someone by their side, a caring adult by their side, who gets to know them and their needs well, and then can help them find their voice and communicate their voice in terms of what their desires and their needs are, can be especially powerful.
Definitely, these advocates are a special person and help these children. And interesting to learn that fact about the ages of 10 and below. The COVID-19 pandemic has brought on many challenges. What are the challenges facing foster care children right now during this pandemic that continues?
Yes. Well, for children across our nation, the challenges in the pandemic have been significant. But for kids in foster care, those challenges are just exacerbated tenfold. So, looking at just a few issues. One, the education loss that has been experienced by kids in foster care has been significant. We all know for children across our nation, the move to virtual learning has created a level of education loss for everyone, but that gap is significant for kids in foster care. And so how our CASAs have stepped in the educational setting is by helping to not only make sure that they have the equipment and the IT tools and computers and laptops that they need, but most importantly then helping to coordinate with teachers and with caregivers to make sure kids are engaged in their learning, to help coordinate tutoring services for them if they need that extra help to close that education loss. So that's one example of challenges faced by kids in foster care during the pandemic. Another is the significant mental health challenges that our children are facing. The move to everything virtual and the isolation has been especially hard for this population of children who are not living at home with families, who may be in new environments, who may be moving their home environments and even their schools with some regularity. That's created, unfortunately, extreme mental health issues and challenges. So how our CASAs might step in is, number one, to be there. Often it's our CASAs who are touching base with their kids on a regular basis every week, seeing them or just seeing how they're doing and making sure that the children know that there is somebody in their life who cares about them and wants to help them to feel loved and valued. But also our CASAs often are the first ones to notice when things are really not going well for the child and when they need to get connected with mental health services. And so our CASAs then can help be the connector to make sure that the kids get access to those therapeutic and other mental health services that they might need. And then another example of how kids have been affected by the pandemic has been the placement instability. So many kids, even before the pandemic, moved around with regularity from one placement or foster home setting to the next. And unfortunately, for many kids during COVID, those placement changes have increased because of the hardship and the challenges for families that have chosen to open their homes to kids in foster care. And so our CASAs have stepped in to be there with their kids and be that consistent presence, even though their placements may be changing with some regularity. Our CASAs provide that consistent presence. So those are just a few examples of the challenges that our kids in foster care have faced.
Kelly, in talking about the CASA program and the opportunities, tell us about if somebody wants to become a CASA, a court-appointed special advocate, what are the opportunities? How can they reach you? And also volunteer opportunities that you can have just for people in general that want to volunteer.
Excellent. Thank you. Well, we need more CASA volunteers. And you don't need to have any particular legal training or professional background. We provide the training to our CASAs that they need in order to learn what they need to do to be effective advocates. We also have a team that supports our CASAs to ensure that they can provide the advocacy and support for their kids. And so what we require for our CASAs is just a heart for making a difference in the lives of children and the ability to commit about 10 to 15 hours a month on their case for a minimum of 18 months, which is about the average amount of time that kids will spend in the foster care system. We do have a thorough application and background check and vetting process before admitting a new volunteer into our training program, which is called Advocate University. It's a 35-hour training program. About half of that is now by Zoom, previously in person, and the rest of that is self-paced online. And then at the conclusion of Advocate University, our newest CASA volunteers actually get sworn in by a juvenile court judge, and they become an officer of the court, and then they're matched with a child, and their advocacy work begins. So that's the process. To learn more about becoming a CASA volunteer, check us out on our website. It's www.speakupnow.org, and you can learn more. In terms of other volunteer opportunities with Voices for Children, we do encourage you. We'd be happy to chat further. We do encourage you to think about us if you want to put together, groups of people who want to come together to support a special cause, whether it's through your employer or through community associations. All of that can be very helpful to us over the holidays. We also have some drives that really allow us to provide some joy to children during this time of year. But there are some other limited opportunities for volunteering outside of the role of a CASA.
Thank you very much, Kelly. I am sharing your website, speakupnow.org, on the screen. Also, your Facebook, Voices for Children SD, and on Instagram, you can find them at Voices for Children. Thank you very much, Kelly. And also thank you very much to Amanda on your team for helping to coordinate this interview. Something else that you would like to add?
I guess the last thing I'd just like to add is, the pandemic has been such a hard time for so many, but it's also brought out the best in our community and in the people around us. And if there's two things we've learned, number one, it's the power and the importance of human connection and relationships to each of us, especially the kids in foster care. And second, it's we've all been reminded of this innate human desire to do things that are meaningful. And so we're very grateful at Voices for Children for people who have chosen to become CASAs during this time, for people who have chosen to support children in foster care through our special program. We've just really seen some amazing, dedicated, generous people step up to make a difference in our community. And we're so very grateful to that. And so to your listeners, we say a special thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Kelly. Thank you very much for being with us today to share this information about Voices for Children. And thank you for the work and service that you and your team do here in San Diego to help foster care children. And thank you all for watching today. If you would like to watch more episodes of Together San Diego, you can go to SanDiegoUnionTribune.com/TogetherSD Live. You can also watch us live weekly here on the San Diego Union Tribune social media and on our website. And also, if you would like to watch more of our live streams, you can go to SanDiegoUnionTribune.com/UT Today. Thank you very much all for watching. That completes our episode for today of Together San Diego. Thank you, Kelly, and happy holidays. Happy holidays to everybody else as well.
Thank you, Paula.
News is more important today than ever before.
I'm currently outside Otay Mesa Detention Center.
I'm about to get a report at Sharp.
Out at Sunset Cliffs.
COVID testing site.
We live for these times when we're able to bring the news into the homes of people who need it the most.
I thank all of you for supporting our work.
When you subscribe to the paper, you're telling us that you believe in what we do.